Now, we will begin the next session, Pioneers of K-Startups Leading the Global Market. This session will be moderated by Amanda Thirsk, CEO of Pitch and Palace, a former private secretary of Prince Andrew. We have 5 speakers with us today. Let me introduce Mr. Choi Jung-hwae, founder of Simsimi, and Mr. John Kim, Chief Operating Officer of the Sensorview, and Mr. Choi Hyun-chul, CEO of Wavon, and Mr. Han Se-kyung, CEO of Better Y, and Ms. Park Hae-rin, the founder and CEO at eNomad. And Ms. Park Hae-rin is running a little bit late, so we will first start the session. And I think Ms. Amanda Thirsk is connected, and whenever you're ready, floor is yours.
Well, welcome to the Startup session. It's fantastic to be here to introduce 5 very exciting startups from Korea. I've had the privilege to listen to a great many startups pitch their businesses in recent years, and I could not have been more impressed than when I attended the last ALC in 2019, where we were privileged to introduce a number of Korean startups to our pitch program. In our changing economies, I am of the firm view that startups have a key role to play in solving the problems we face in our lives, and importantly, offering employment and opportunities to our young people. During this session, I'm going to ask each of the startups to introduce their businesses, and then we will go on to discuss some challenges that they face. So first of all, I'd like to ask Choi Jung-choi of Simsimi, an AI chatbot service founded in 2002, to introduce his company. Choi, over to you.
Good evening. I am Choi Jung-hee of Simsimi. I would like to introduce Simsimi. As you're well aware, we are a chatbot. In order to create chatbots, we need great technical expertise. But when I created Simsimi, I started without such expertise. I wanted to create a channel to promote my product. This was a blanket that I had created, and I used the MS Messenger to promote my product. But because of how if we have ads only, then people will not read our ads. And so I started to provide various types of informations. And I could see that everyone was using these messenger services to talk to one another. So I started to come up with ways to answer these questions, and I put in about 1,000 answers to 1,000 questions. And I noticed that saying hello is easy, but then the conversation after the greetings was very difficult. And so I couldn't type in all the answers myself. So I wanted other people to answer these questions. And if there is a question that Simsimi cannot answer, then Simsimi would say, I don't know, teach me. And then I added a function where people could teach Simsimi, and that phrase taught to Simsimi then can be used by Simsimi right away. And this actually went quite viral in Korea. And this became quite popular around the world from 2012. And we have been reported by various broadcasting stations and also by YouTubers. Microsoft developed their own chatbot, and they became quite a hit in China. And the papers that they wrote says that they actually benchmarked Simsimi. And this compares 5 different AIs. Simsimi and Shiri and other AIs are compared. We can see that using Simsimi, we were able to reduce the stress level of teenagers. So we have been talking to many people through Simsimi, and we have a total of 400 million people who have used Simsimi. You can see that the number of use cases starts to drop at this point in time, and that actually is a point where we changed our services. In the past, we focused on being fun, but now, from this point on, we want to make our system safe. Well, making Simsimi safe is related to the ability to block out bad words. So in the first 14 years, we used 4 methods to block out bad expressions, and we have added many more methods to block out certain expressions. Let's say that there is a sentence and 10 people would review this one sentence, and then we would create Bluegi, which is a deep learning model. And because the deep learning model can learn from the 10 people who review these sentences, we can use this deep learning model to block out bad expressions. Many people are interested in AI ethics, and that's why we are in the limelight as a great example. We have been well recognized by the government as well, and we have the first certification for ethical utilization of AI. For our project, many professors have participated, and Korea's top scientist community are also participating. Our advisories are professors who are well known in the field of AI ethics. Because they are participating in our projects, we can say that we can lead the standards related to ethics in artificial intelligence. So we can block out bad expressions and we can guarantee safety, and that opened up new opportunities. For example, Simsimi can be used to supplement counselors, and that is a government project that we are conducting. And based on the safety of Simsimi, we are able to create a platform where people can pour out their hearts. And so this is our own metaverse that is being created. We believe that in this metaverse, Simsimi can facilitate billions of people to share their hearts from around the world. This brings me to the end of the introduction of Simsimi.
Thank you very much for a fascinating presentation there, Choi. What are the next steps for Simsimi?
Well, Simsimi first started when people taught Simsimi to answer questions asked by other people. So this is a service to connect people together. Currently, Simsimi is a AI conversing with people, but we hope that in the future, people can have their own Simsimi to use to communicate with others. That is the direction that we wish to move in.
Great, absolutely fascinating, and good luck with that. So now I'd like to invite John Kim, COO of Sensorview, who work in 5G antenna and cables, to talk a little bit about Sensorview, please. Over to you, John.
Well, first of all, we had this great Simsimi project, so I now have Simsimi lingering in my brain. Well, let me take this opportunity to introduce Sensorview to you. Sensorview uses our own materials, our own technology, and our own design power to sell our products in the 5G world. We are a telco company. Sensorview, as you can see on the screen, has antennas based on our own materials, along with cables and connectors. We are providing this to various customers, including the defense sector. As you're well aware, the 5G market is not as complete as the 4G or LTE market. Our dedicated cable connectors and antennas are currently in the process of being verified and approved in the US and European market, and that process has been completed, and we have started to provide our products. As you have seen in the news, in order to move into the 5G market, we need various investments. In-building solution antennas, as you can see on the screen, are systems that can maximize the capacity of networks, which will then minimize the necessity of capex. And so this is quite popular amongst companies like Verizon in the US. Those of you here today probably use cell phones from Apple or Samsung Electronics. And so I'm sure that you're mostly using Samsung or Apple, and these two companies are leading in the 5G market. As I mentioned before, we have our own materials called LCP. This is liquid crystal polymers. We use this LCP for our material, and we have been able to create cost competitiveness for our material, and the 28, 60, or 70 gigahertz broadband is the broadband that we can supplement with our cable connectors. And next year and the year after that is a time when you see these products being included in your smartphones or tablet PCs. Currently, the mega trend around the world is green. But at the same time, autonomous driving is also in the limelight. This is, simply put, intelligent cars. Of course, the function of EVs and hydrogen for this market is also important. But in order to have true autonomous vehicles, we need intelligence. And in order to have intelligence, we need the ability to receive signals and send signals. Sensorview provides the antennas that enable these functions, as well as the cable connectors. The cable connectors used in the autonomous vehicle sector uses specific materials to increase the accuracy of the signals. And the parts used for the front of the car and the side of the car needs to be flexible. And because these parts need to be flexible, they need to use specific materials. And we actually have expertise in these materials, and so we are continuing to research these components with the leading vehicle producers. This is the test management area. On the slide, you can see a small box. This small box is equivalent to the reliability test conducted for cell phones. And one of the reliability tests is to place the cell phones inside the OTP box, and they have to test whether these smartphones can actually receive signals within the box. Inside the box, they need dedicated cable connectors and antennas. Currently, we are working with all of the global manufacturers of smartphones to produce such antennas and cable connectors. We believe that in the future, these cable connectors and antennas will increase in number. And when we can actually lead the 5G millimeter wave market, we will be able to become leaders in this market. The company called Censor is not only looking at the commercial market, but we are also looking at the defense industry. One of the most important aspects of the defense industry is war times. Of course, we do our best to avoid wars, but each country needs to protect itself. And everything that is used for weapons must be very precise in order to have accurate defense and accurate attacks. Receiving signals for such accurate attacks and defense means that we need precise signals. So we are providing cable connectors that enable precision. And because they are very weight aware, we came up with very specific cables that are reduced in weight by 20 to 30%, and these cable connectors can be used in various weapon systems such as submarines and jet fighters.
Over the last 5.5 years, we have built Sensorview. At first, we had about 20 employees with about 17 plus years of experience in R&D, engineers, and other staff with extensive knowledge. And now we have been able to apply the R&D that we've accumulated over the years in the 5G markets around the world and telecommunications markets and all of these different customers that you see in the graph in front of you. We are supplying our products to all of these customers, and for next generation model that we are going to be releasing next year and the next year, we are studying them closely and engaging in R&D. In the Americas and Europe markets, there are companies like SDMI or Qualcomm. As you know, these two big companies are major players in the chipset markets. In fact, they take up about 90 to 95% market share around the world, or the cables and connectors that we make going to use in the chipsets that are manufactured by these major players, so that go into use in the smartphones that you make or that you use, or the electrical devices that you use as well. To wrap up, I would like to say that I am very thankful to everyone at Chosun Ilbo, the organizers, for creating this opportunity for me, and also to the family at Sensorview, our employees and executives. Thank you very much for making this magic happen.
John, thank you very much for that presentation. Absolutely fascinating development, and congratulations. Now, I would love to hear from Choi Hun Chi from Wavon, who work in the R&D of IT systems. Over to you, Choi.
Hello, my name is Choi Hun Chul. I'm the CEO of Wavon. I always feel this every time when I'm on a stage, but I have to say I'm very nervous as I feel this way every time, but I'll try to stay calm and try to give a good presentation to you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Wavon, but before that, I want to explain the context of how we started this company. I think it's similar with other startups as well, but when it comes to Wavon, I can tell you that it was very interesting. Our origin story is very interesting. There was an R&D team within Samsung, and within an internal in-house venture project, we spun off from Samsung as our own startup. So I guess there would be some startups out there who might be a little bit envious of our situation, because there were very great, talented developers who received a startup seed capital from Samsung, and that allowed us to have a very good set-off point. So that was the context of our origin story. Our technology, as you can see from our name, Wavon, is working with waves or vibrations. What we did at Samsung Electronics is to try to use the physical body and send digital signals through analog sound waves. This technology we wanted to deploy them in wearable devices, so that even without using earphones, maybe you can just bring your finger up to your ear and be able to talk on the phone right away. But as you know, with Apple AirPods or Buzz earpieces like Galaxy, these different Bluetooth ear devices allowed us to pivot from our original mission. And so we wanted to try to maximize the absorption speed of cosmetics and lotions into the physical skin, into the body. We are different from other companies because the other devices
rely on ionic waves or electronic waves or needle points, etc. So these are all physical interventions, so physical needles or electronic signals. This means that there is a little bit of a risk involved in using these devices. And the biggest difference between our products and those products in the market is that our products are custom made. They are personified. The existing market devices send the same electronic signals regardless of the wearer to allow for maximized absorption. But in case of our technology, we use vibration and analyze the physical body of the person wearing the device. The physical body, human body, comes with the skeletons, with the bones, and so the vibration that reflects off of the bone structure is what is analyzed by our device. And so we can create an optimal pattern via our device that can be transmitted to the human body. You are familiar with cosmetics, for example. You can feel that the skin on your forehead is thinner, the skin on your cheeks are thicker. But the beauty devices that are already on the market send the same electrical signals. But our product attempts to customize this to try to send optimal waves and signals so that the beauty products and the cosmetic products can be delivered very in-depth to the skin. This sounds simple, but this technology can be deployed in a very many fields. So, for example, with patients with skin atopic dermatitis have to wear moisturizer many times a day. But if they use our device, then the moisturizer can be deployed, can be spread more optimized way. And in many cases, the skin devices can allow for the moisturizer to only be deployed at the epidermis level, but we can go beyond the epidermis into the dermis and to the in-depth level beyond the dermis layers. So this means that our device is very optimal for use in various diet devices or weight loss devices, etc., because it goes into the subcutaneous fatty tissue. So right now we have branched out into health and wellness, not just beauty products, but into health, wellness, and even medical devices and medical fields. So recently we have also, because of COVID-19, tried to expand into other areas, including PPE. So this has been a brief introduction of our company. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Choi. Absolutely fascinating, great presentation. Next, I'd like to invite Han Se-kyung from BetterWhy, who've developed a battery management system, to tell us about his story.
Hello, my name is Han Se-kyung. I'm the CEO of BetterWhy. I prepared a video for you today, so I'm just going to play the short clip first and then tell you our story.
Lithium batteries have high energy density, making our lives more convenient and used in various forms in our lives. The market share of lithium batteries is also increasing steeply and rapidly. However, as the energy density is high, there are risks to using them. So if it is not managed correctly, the internal structure can be deformed, resulting in reduced efficiency, shorter life expectancy, and more severe accidents such as fire and explosion. All lithium batteries are equipped with a BMS management device, battery management system, which can estimate and diagnose battery conditions and control the battery's devices. However, as the battery system's capacity is getting larger, there were several accidents from the batteries used in electric vehicles or ESS, and the estimation about the condition relevant to the battery aging and advanced diagnosis of problems or defects of the batteries has been necessary. Just like a doctor diagnoses a patient's physical condition, with various experiences and professional knowledge, the technology to estimate the battery's state accurately and various data to support it is necessary. There was only limited memory under the existing BMS environment and limited computational capability, allowing only basic estimation for conditions. There was a limitation in providing high-level services, such as battery explosion accidents and diagnosis of defects. About the limitation, BetterWhy has finally developed a BMS platform with a new concept. First of all, The sophisticatedly designed BMS is installed in an electric vehicle to collect primary data, perform real-time primary processing, and send the collected data to the cloud. In the cloud, high-level algorithms are applied based on big data transmitted from various BMSs. It evaluates each condition and diagnoses defects in each battery, and provides the local BMS feedbacks based on the results. By utilizing this platform, it became possible to accurately estimate highly difficult information about battery conditions, such as aging, residual life, the existence of defects, and information such as the exact residual or mileage of batteries in electric vehicles. This platform can be available to evaluate residual value and diagnosis of safety when trading second-hand electric vehicles.
So in the case of our country as well as the world, we all recognize that battery products are very critical products, and Korea is a great manufacturer of batteries as well. But even if we do make many batteries, if there are so many batteries deployed out there in the market, it could lead to incidents or accidents. We've used small cell batteries in home appliances, but now we're seeing batteries used as power engines to power EVs and ESS. So we have to do a very critical and very accurate diagnosis of the analysis of the batteries, and this has become very important. I study electrical engineering, and I teach electrical engineering at Dongguk University to students. I've worked in the lab for about over 10 years or so on batteries, and after that time I was able to see that up to a certain level that we can come up with diagnostics for the battery cells, but ultimately without big data we cannot scale up this level of diagnosis and analysis. So voice recognition and sound recognition and automatic translators, for example, AI translators, these have been at a stalemate for a very long time because they did not have a lot of data. But after the rise of big data, we were able to see numerous achievements made in the AI field. So I thought that we have to also do that, apply that kind of AI big data to battery analytics and diagnostics. But there was no such kind of device in the market out there. So we decided to create them ourselves, which is how we started coming up with battery packs. And with the battery packs that we manufactured, we started providing this platform called BaaS, or Battery as a Service. And we connected the battery packs to this BaaS platform, which is able to provide very sophisticated functions that is not something that we're seeing with BMS. So very precision analytics and diagnostics. So we were able to sophisticate these functions and offerings. And there are many different kinds of batteries out there. There are continuously new products that come into the market, and each time they do, we also try to provide customized data to provide analytics and diagnostics of these new battery products. We were able to develop a platform that enables all this, and we were the first commercialization of such a diagnostics platform in the market, and we want to expand this to different fields. Right now, we are only applying this into a very specialized sector of batteries, but going forward, we want to expand to ESS and EVs, and ultimately to recycle used batteries and second life batteries. And we also want to expand this to allow for battery analytics while an EV is charging at a charging station. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you for that presentation. What an important development you're working on. Finally, Hyrin Park from Enemad, I hope, has now arrived, and she's going to tell us her story of her wonderful hydropower devices. Over to you.
Thank you for a warm introduction. Hi, my name is Hyrin Park, founder and CEO of eNomad, which means energy nomad. You can guess what we are doing by our name. We produce personalized and mobilized energy solution to reach sustainable energy paradigm shifting. Recently, we all are talking about climate change and net zero. But how can we actually reach to the net zero by 2050? Do you know 73% of carbon emissions are coming from energy sector globally? And you know, we all are consuming energy. All of us consuming energy, but actually no one care about thinking about how much energy we consume and where this energy comes from and how this impact on environment or sustainability. I think it's because of energy or climate change, net zero. These concepts are so gigantic and numbers are so big. So it's not really connected to each personal idea. So what if we break down this big number into small so it can be personal, so accessible, understandable? Inomed produced the world's first personalized power generator. This is a water power generator. It converts any type of running water into stored energy so you can charge your own mobile devices. It produces 5 watts from running water, and every 4.5 hours, you can charge 2 iPhones or light for 300 hours. You know, we are now living in a hyper-connected world. After 2013, mobile users numbers oversee the PC user numbers, and we all are connected to each other. So because of this, energy consumption pattern has been changed from traditional one. It's not like traditional one, it's decentralized and demand-centric. So future energy pattern will be different. So it will be more personalized and mobilized. So we want to change this energy paradigm, shifting with this personalized energy solutions. First, we targeted this item to camping outdoor market. From 2018, we started selling our product to US camping and outdoor market. And so far, we've been sold 25,000 units. And now we are partnership with the global big brands like Rolls-Royce or Patagonia to spread this idea globally. And next, we are selling this product to education market. All of our users, now they have a watt literacy. Do you have watt literacy? Do you know how much energy you consume now? Our users know how much energy they produce and consume, because this device can produce 5 watts every hour. When they come back to home, when they see light or laptop, they see, oh, it consumes 80 watts. That it might take 8 hours to charge by running water. So they now can calculate and manage their energy consumption and production. So after that, they ask us, hey, can you provide this hands-on education system for our kids or our school? So after that, we started to provide this hands-on sustainable energy class from elementary school to university. And lastly, we are doing very interesting thing. We put communication sensor into this device, so make this connected and traceable. Whenever our users using our product off-grid, we collect their location data and power generation data and convert them into carbon credits. So they can see actually how much carbon emission they reduce by using our product. Some of you may say, well, this tiny generator can be just some of outdoor gear or just funny gadget. But actually, this tiny, tiny device make changes. I see actual changes. It changed people's thinking, perspective, and actually change their behavior. So when we are talking about net zero by 2050 or climate change to big shifting paradigm, it all has to be start from small steps. So we believe that Inomed solution, this mobilized and personalized solution, provide accessible, tangible and actual changeable solution to the industry and our life. You're welcome to join our journey to sustainability, and whenever you have a more question, come visit me, Enomed. Thank you.
Hi, Erin. Thank you so much. As you know, I've been following your journey for a while, and it's just such a brilliant device that you have there. I'd like to sort of move the conversation on to discuss some of the challenges that you all face. And the first question I've got for you is really about how is it founding a company in Korea? What have been the challenges, and what advice do you have for the students that are in our audience that might wish to follow in your footsteps? I mean, Hiring, would you like to start?
May I ask you a question again briefly?
So my question is, how has it been founding a business in Korea? What challenges have you faced? And what advice would you have for the audience if they were thinking about founding a business in Korea?
Before I founded this company, Enomed, I was in a project team with the Korean government to develop 100 kilowatt, like 500 kilowatt tidal power plants. I mean, I was so fascinated about renewable energy, but the problem was the energy system, even renewable energy system, was focused on centralized, very traditional energy system. So I had to face with many problems, and after that, I realized I maybe have to find a new target, different target to change energy system. So I founded this personalized energy consumption and started my own company. And back then, the largest challenge was energy is a big problem. We all have to focus on this problem and we have to change this. But this is invisible thing. So people actually doesn't really care about what this energy affects my personal life. So my question was how to make this energy problem personalized so anyone can be part of this issue. So this is how I started my business and how I got this product.
Great, I mean, fascinating. Was there, I mean, enough support available for all of them? And perhaps, Han, you could talk about, did you?
Was that a question addressed to me? Because we had some sound issues. Well, concerning support, I think your question was related to support. And as I briefly mentioned in my initial remarks, there is a product that we need, and we need data from this product. And I need collaboration in order to do this. But I did attempt collaborations on several occasions, but decision-making always took very long and it was very difficult to do. I never thought that I would become an entrepreneur, but in the end, I started my own company. But as I started my own company, well, it was a first time for me. So I was like a child in this industry. I still don't have a lot of experience. But once I started to start my company, in the past, I always thought that entrepreneurs invested their own capital, and I thought entrepreneurs put their lives on the line and they would bet everything that they had for this business. But I believe that that concept has changed. In Korea, we see many unicorn companies, especially in the IT sector, and the ecosystem enables us to minimize personal risks and to have investments for our ideas and concepts. And so in the beginning, I was quite nervous about starting my own company. But once I started, I noticed that if I have my own idea, if I have my own thoughts, and if I want to do development, there is an ecosystem in place that can support these ideas and development. And so if there are any of you out there in the audience who are interested in starting your own company, I recommend that you start as early as possible for experience. If you start your own company later in life, of course, there are positive sides because you need to have your network in place. But although you probably have a larger network when you're older, on the other hand, if you are younger, you have more time to overcome any failures that you may go through, and you have the energy to overcome failures. So I think experiencing entrepreneurship at an early age is important. Of course, we see deregulation in the Korean market, and I think we have a great ecosystem for entrepreneurs these days.
Fantastic and incredibly wise advice. That probably takes us on to talk a little bit about talent. And I was wondering whether, John, from Sensorview, whether you could talk about the challenges that you faced in attracting the talent that you have clearly been very successful with your business, and give some advice to us.
The first of all, like this kind of the business area, it is like really we face to very much like a difficult the things to hiring the experienced specialist. For example, like in the manpower, like the 80% we have only hiring some of like experienced people who has like a certain the same job or same R&R basis like a company experience like in the previous their job. But another 20%, basically we are hiring some new guys. And also like our company, we have 1.5 years OJT programs. Because even we just try to get some kind of the training, but we cannot directly put in the like our manufacturing in a certain R&D area. That's why the most of our people try to give like enough experience and the knowledge to them during the last 1.5 years to increase about their manpower and also get them to know about our client requirements. So like basically to hiring some manpower itself is pretty much difficult actually in the Korean market compared with the US market. Because the student they are studying based theoretically in the college and the university, but to do work, they need to have another experience to understand exactly what it is. But in the US and maybe in England, the most of students, they're practically studying and the professor also give like their experience and knowledge to them to right away implement it to the market. There is some kind of the difference in the Korean, the European, and America to hiring before the students. Thank you.
So John, that's very interesting. Are you saying that American and European students are more ready for work than perhaps the talent that exists in Korea?
I cannot say like most of the industry, all of things, but some of the specific area, we need some more experience, at least For example, like in European, my experience in this college in Switzerland, we got to some kind of the training period, 6 months or 1 year during the study. It gives a lot of kind of the help to understand the market and also like the industry and for the future my jobs. And also enough chance to think about like what exactly I have to do for that ones. But in case of Korea, maybe everyone's know here, we try to study a lot of things like to get some nice grade, the number to graduations, right? But actually, once coming down to the industry, we need to get another 1 or 2 years to study to understand about the market. So this is something like quite a little bit behind education program in Korea.
So that's sort of work placement program, and that that requires both the students to want to do it and the companies to offer those opportunities. Troy from Simsimi, are you experiencing the same thing with attracting talent?
I would have to say that yes, it's always challenging to try to find the right people for the job. But as my colleague here has said, I think it's also because there are certain niche areas where we see more of a bottleneck. We are in software business, so I see that there is a little bit better accessibility for students. When it comes to hiring people, the hiring process in and of itself is not that difficult. But if we were to compare the situation to the past, I think this is something that we see across the board. But when we look at the schools, the classrooms, the lectures, because they're very academically oriented, they're mostly about getting high scores and good grades. So the students lack the access to practical hands-on training, and I do agree with that, with what my colleague said.
Really interesting and great feedback. And finally, I don't think we can end this discussion without trying to understand how COVID has affected our businesses. And it would be great to hear from Troy from Wavon about how you feel COVID has affected you.
I think that when we talk about the impact of COVID-19, obviously it had a huge impact on our business and our company because we were working in health, beauty, and medical devices. So we were in that industry, but last year when COVID-19 really hit, because we were all going through contactless industries, we need to identify new industries and new businesses, but that sort of identification of new industries and new businesses effectively shrunk. We did not have the wherewithal to do so, so that was very challenging. So we pivoted to disease control related devices, sort of temperature sensors and etc. So COVID related devices. So we pivoted to those devices and that kind of business, and this served as a big transition point for our company. I'm an engineer, and I pride myself on having extensive knowledge in this issue. So that's why I thought that I had a lot of initiatives, and I thought that I should take more challenges upon myself in starting up the company. So for about 3 years, I focused on R&D that did not really yield a lot of income, a lot of revenue. But after COVID-19 hit, I can't tell you that the market completely transformed. So for example, we see many people here sitting at different tables. Let's say maybe in the past you were engaged in your own individual conversations, but now you're all looking at me. You're all staring at me because I'm the COVID-19 issue. So in the past we had big data and AI. There are many different issues, but now all of their focus has been shifted to COVID-19. So if we look at small businesses In the past, the small businesses would look at big data and AI and think that has nothing to do with me. But after COVID-19, even the smallest businesses, they would look at COVID-19 and look at sectors like big data and AI and think that that is relevant to them. So our business model has changed, and there is definitely a business model that is relevant to everybody. That's what we identified, and that's why we shifted our focus and pivoted to thermometers and temperature sensors because of COVID-19. So that also has to do with electronic waves and signal sensing and transmission, that DDS, but instead of using it on medical devices, we've pivoted to COVID-relevant devices like temperature sensors and etc. And that revenue that we were able to generate from that particular business has been greater than the revenue generated from the medical device related businesses in the past years. This means that because so many people are focused on COVID related devices and COVID related solutions, we were able to leverage that to our advantage. And of course, to do so, however, you need to be very brave and have the necessary courage. I think that COVID-19 definitely was a crisis, obviously, but it was a huge opportunity as well because everybody is focused on COVID-19. Everybody's interest is on COVID-19. And so I thought that it was a very good opportunity as well.
Well, congratulations for that. I love the fact that you were able to pivot and make bring great benefit to your business through COVID. Thank you to each of the startups for the brilliant presentations. I wish you well on your continued journey of success, and thank you to the audience for listening today. Good luck with the rest of the conference. Goodbye.
Thank you, Amanda Thirsk, and thank you all the speakers for sharing your time with us today. Now, 귀한 시간 내주셔서 감사합니다. Now
Thank you
we
very
will
much for
move
your
on to
time.
the next session. Before we move on, we will have a short break, and the next session will begin at 10 p.m. So we'll take about 10-minute break. Thank you.